And so, my dear ones, Thanksgiving week arrives, and with it, our opportunity to realize more deeply and more fully what that means for us. It means for us that we get to celebrate the capacity within us all to bring to life, to give to life, to share with life our good, and in a way that affirms, uplifts, and supports life. That's what this week is particularly about, and this whole season. It's the season of giving and sharing and lifting up. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's an amazing energy. One feels it. One actually viscerally has that experience of it. People in the endeavor to stay awake enough consciously to be able to lift up another's life in some way. How beautiful is that? And I'm delighted to be sharing it alongside of you. And listening to Jan's wonderful sharing, please, my dear ones, respond the way you always do every Christmas and give us the opportunity as a community to provide for those 50 families as we always do. And I thank you for that and everything else. So today's topic is the Great Motivator, and it's calling us to really focus on what we parrot off so easily. There is a power for good in the universe, as Ernest Holmes has told us over and over again. A power for good in the universe that you and I can use, and uses us. When we say we can use it and it uses us, we're talking about being the inlet of that power and being the outlet of that power, allowing it in and releasing it out. And some of us have a challenge of releasing it out because it's given to everybody, and it depends upon what kind of a portal we leave open for the amount to come in and the amount to go out, really. But within us, there is always that beautiful, amazing, gushing waterfall, spiritual waterfall of the waters of life. And we can draw from those for ourselves and for others too. And the question is always, will we? So let's look at what this means, the Great Motivator. Well, the Great Motivator is that power for good in the universe that's greater than we are, greater than everything is that we use. And it has to do with how creation works. It has to do with how life works. It has to do with life and its way. And its way is its law. We talk about the great, eternal, infinite, intelligent being, the one and only creating force out of which everything flows, as the initiator of everything, the initiator of all good. It initiates everything and everyone by means of its creation, by means of you, by means of me, by means of it all. That's how evolution works. Now, I don't know why that's the reason why we do things the way we do behind that. I know that people talk all the time about, oh, couldn't God have made another choice? Yeah, absolutely. But this is how it works. And remember, God is not a person playing with our lives. It's a power, it's an intelligence, it's a consciousness that moves upon us and that we move in and influence it in the expressions of our lives with regard to that. And so we're looking at that today, and we're asking ourselves, my goodness, if we're so endowed, if we're so empowered, how come life is not different? It's because we don't understand what we have, and we don't know how to interact with it and how to use it. That's all. That's all. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing missing. There was nothing left out. The do-it-yourself kit that we came in didn't have any spare parts to it, or didn't have any parts missing, like some of the things you get from a certain place that we all tend to go to sometimes with the instructions that help us to put things together, and we don't always get it right. We're endowed with the intelligence to get this right, and today is about that. So what am I talking about, really? I'm talking about how you, how I, how everybody creates the circumstances and the experiences in their lives. I'm talking about the awesome authority, the awesome power, the awesome ability that you have, that I have, that everyone has with regard to mastery over one's own life. That's what I'm talking about. And we are going to go back to the basics and fundamentals. Where does that process, this creative process of life and living, where does it begin? Right where I am, right with the power that is within me, that motivates me. I couldn't do anything of any good without that motivating me, that impulse triggering some kind of response in me. That's how it begins. So knowing that, you look at your life and you say, okay, this is good, this is not so good. What do I want to release? What do I want to create in my life? And then working with this law of mind, law of consciousness, which is a fine art and science, a fine art and science. And it has a process to it. And it has a formula to it. And I'll guarantee you, if we understand the process, if we go with the flow of the process, and if we use the formula, then there's no good thing that is denied us in any way. Because the thing about it is, if I'm not intentional about my life and the good in my life, nothing else is either. Well, God will help me. What do you think that means? What God will help you? Not the God out there, up there, or the God you imagine in your mind, or all of the formulations you find throughout all of our spiritual histories, throughout life and living. None of that's going to help us. But the presence that God is within us, that is what's going to help us. And it's an energy, it's a force, it's a presence, it's palpable. It's truly palpable. You can feel it. You can feel it in your mind's eye. You can feel it in your mind's eye, and with your physical eye, you can see it in form, in all things that are in form, especially babies' chuckles and eyes, and sunrises and sunsets, and flower fragrances, and oh my gosh, so many other things that we just take for granted and we don't even see anymore, really. We're so busy in our embodiment with getting along and getting ahead and gathering and collecting and God knows what nonsense all of us are in most of the time. When it comes to our lives in the exterior world, you see, because we are interior beings, we truly are. That's our nature. The nature of us comes from the unseen and invisible aspect of life. And it's in that beautiful, wonderful womb of creative energy that all life moves, flows, and has its being out of into form. Okay, the formula. First thing, you have an impulse. The impulse appears as an intention, an idea, something that catches your attention. And it's a good thing. And you say, this is a good thing. This would be good for me, and not just good for me, but all of life. So you form an intention around that. Your intention is the nucleus of something. It's a nucleus of energy that's going to attract into itself vibrations that support it, The main thing is get very clear about this good thing that has come through you and go with the flow of it and be intentional about seeing it through into manifestation. How do I do that? Well, I make sure I have the clarity around this idea that's formed and the intention to realize it. And the next step is I support that intention. I support the intention. How do I support the intention? Because it's like any other living thing. An idea is a living thing. It needs to be fed. It needs to be fed. It needs to be supported until it becomes the reality that it symbolizes. It needs to be fed. And the way we support it and feed it is through focus and attention. We do this best when we vision. We vision this thing. We vision this thing. We see it. We formulate it in our minds and we see it very clearly. And then we meditate upon it. We meditate upon it. We think ourselves into it. We think ourselves into it. That puts us right in the center of that. We vision, we meditate, and then we affirm it. We affirm the idea, the intention throughout our day. Every time it comes to our mind, we affirm it. Yes, this is a great, good idea. It came to me because I am able to manifest it and demonstrate it out into the experience of my life, into something happening in my life that changes my life for the better, and all life for that matter. Do you see? The support is very, very important. You can't just have a good idea, be jazzed with it and excited with it, and then after 10 minutes say, oh, who do I think I am? What's the matter with me? That's never going to happen. That's what kills everything. That's what kills every good idea. You have had more ideas that died by the wayside than you've had good ideas that you brought through into manifestation. We all have. So that part of cradling your idea, supporting your idea, nurturing your idea, nourishing your idea is extremely important. That's the whole middle process. You've got to take that beautiful idea, the seeds of that idea, and sow it deeply in that wonderful, fertile soil of intention that is supported by the way you think, by the way you feel, by the way you behave and conduct yourself as though it were already so. See, that's the third key. Once you get that clarity, once you're supporting your process, then you have to truly, if you want to realize this, act as though it's already so. How would you think if that was in your life right now? How would you feel if that was in your life right now? How would you be behaving if that was in your life right now? Well, what's stopping you from thinking and feeling and behaving like that, as though it were so? Because it is so. It's so on the invisible side of life, because every single good thing that ever happened to you and will happen to you and is happening to you is simply because you're fleshing it out by thinking it, feeling it, supporting it, knowing it, owning it, saying yes to it consistently until it manifests. That's how it's done. It's amazing. It's so amazing it seems like a miracle, but it's not a miracle. It's a natural happening. That's because we are spiritual, infinite, intelligent beings and have that power and that capacity to manifest good in our lives. Now remember that beautiful energy is a neutral energy. It's not going to judge you. It's not going to assess you. It's not going to weigh up whether this is a good idea for you or not. It's not going to do that at all. It's very malleable. It'll just take what you're giving to it, correspond to it, and bring it into your life as an experience. That's the subjective part of it, the inner part of it. It's the womb part of it where everything is created and nurtured. And you have to be, and I have to be, very careful with the way we use it. Now, this also is an energy that can be used on the negative side of life. But mark my word, and mark it carefully. If you and I deliberately endeavor to use this power against some person, place, or thing, it will come right back at us. It will come right back at us, and we will experience the negativity. That's how it works. It's like a boomerang. Because what I think and what I feel and send out there comes right back at me, and pressed down and spilling over with great interest. So be very, very careful when you deliberate about anything and desire deliberately something of a negative nature to happen to something or someone. The something and the someone is you that's going to benefit from that. And don't take my word for it. I think you've had enough experience of that, even with the unconscious resentments, etc. They stop us, they block us from being the outlet of grace and goodness. And they stop that goodness and grace coming back to us because we're not releasing it to come back. We don't release it to come back. You've got to release it for it to come back. It's an awesome power, and you and I are so privileged to know of it and to have that sense of I can do this, whatever the good thing is that comes to me to be realized through me. Through me. I can't get you to do it. I can't get him to do it. I can't get them to do it. I can't get she to do it. No, I must do it myself. I must be the conduit myself. That's why I'm created and how I'm created for that purpose. Great good. Flowing out from me and coming right back to me, to flow again out from me and to come right back to me, to flow out from me and come right back to me. And I can never get ahead of it. I can't outdo it. I can't outgive it. I cannot be more than it is. It's such a beauteous thing. And when you get the hang of it, you feel like you're being pampered and petted by infinite divine substance itself, divine providence. And it has only to do with one thing: how life works, the law of creation, the law of mind in action. And let me remind us all, this is an energy and a power that never slumbers or never sleeps or never takes a rest. It is always listening in to what I'm thinking and feeling and knowing and being, and it's completely corresponding to it. Oh, she wants anxiety and worry because that's all she's thinking of. Okay, if that's what she wants, it's my pleasure to give it to her. It's the same with the goodness of any kind. She's kind, she's considerate, she's giving, she's caring, she's sharing. Oh, let's shower her with the same good. That's how it works. Do not take my word for it or anybody else's. Test it out and see for yourself if it doesn't work like that. Now, that's going to take some doing when we've been asleep for a long time and bogged down and buried in worries and cares and concerns, all really genuine worries, cares, and concerns, ailments of all kinds, and so on. Doesn't mean it's not doable. It'll take a little more effort, a little more persistence, a little more patience. But with that endeavor, things will change, and they will change for the better. No one need ever look out at a world and say it's hopeless. No one need ever look into their own lives and say it's hopeless. It's not. We know of people who have been on death row, woke up, and were freed. I know it's rare, but it happens. And if one person can do it, all of us can do it. I know people who've been diagnosed with incurable diseases, and came through that because they woke up. And what do I mean by waking up? They were able somehow to muster up enough faith and belief that nothing of good is withheld from us as far as the infinite is concerned. But again, as your mother used to say over and over again, God helps those who help themselves. I must initiate that open receptivity to my good coming through me. Whatever it is, if it's a mental thing or a physical thing or an emotional thing or a spiritual thing, whatever it is, there's no such thing as undoable in spirit, incurable in spirit. No such thing. And people have proven that. And again, if one person can do it, it means all of us are capable of doing it. And things are tough at the moment, have you noticed? Things are very hard at the moment for all people, and some most particularly at the moment. But we will not be overwhelmed by it. We will not be overcome by it. We certainly will not. And I don't have to worry about, well, what can one person, me, small little me, do, insignificant little me do, because how can I face an avalanche and stop it and block it? And the beauty and grace of this particular spiritual understanding is, I know I don't have to do that. I don't have to save the world. All that is required of me by myself, my inner self, is do the best that I can do in whatever circumstances I find myself, and somehow or another in all of that find some little bit of light, and then take that little bit of light and blow more life into it, so that I can indeed do what I am capable of doing, and do it, you see. And all of us are capable of that. All of us, no matter what condition or state we're in, all of us. Oh my gosh, the tears came to my eyes the other night. By accident, I saw a bit of news. I try not to listen to too much of that. I read about it rather than listen and look. And it was the people's place. It was a place where people in great need would go and get some help, food and so on. And some people were being interviewed. One gentleman was coming by, and they said, "Sir, do you mind if we ask you a question or two?" He said, "No." And so he had a little bag of groceries in his hand, and he had a cane helping him, and he looked good. I mean, he looked really good. He had very kind eyes and a sweet countenance that you find. And they asked him, "Well, sir, how are you going to spend the Thanksgiving, and what will Thanksgiving be for you?" And with smiling eyes, he said, "I'm going to be giving thanks. I'm going to be in gratitude," he said. "When I sit on my park bench, I'm going to be giving thanks for all of the great Thanksgivings of the past that I have had. And I'm going to be okay with this one, because 1 out of 65 is good going. And I am going to just be very, very grateful." And I'm thinking, here's a man. He has a little bag in his hand. That's about as much as he has, probably, or very little more at the moment, keeping himself as good as he can keep himself, and with those smiling eyes, that lovely countenance, and that deep attitude within his heart of gratitude. And I was thinking, if I did shame, which I don't do anymore, I would feel ashamed for all the times I moaned and groaned and bellyached and complained about what I didn't have. That man was just pure spirit in action for me in that moment then. I want to thank you for all, and I say this a lot, I know, but I never say it without meaning it, for all the difference that you're making in this life, in this world, in spite of the challenging circumstances in many of your lives. I think you're being heroic myself. You are the unsung heroes. Those of us who are so challenged in one way or another and still manage to think of someone else, unsung heroes. But know this, we are thinking of you. We are holding you in prayer. We are here for you, however we can be here for you, and that's the truth. So keep your spirits high. As the scriptures say, lift up your hearts. Lift up your hearts. Keep your spirits high and trust that beautiful essence and power within yourself that knows how to take care of you. Rely upon it. Trust it. And when you have a good idea, know it, feel it, become one with it, and state that it is already so, and it will be so. It's the law. So, my dear ones, know with me now that right where I am, exactly as I am, the power, almighty, infinite power of life is within me, awaiting me to recognize it and flow copiously through me with all kinds of good. For my knowing it, saying yes to it, allowing it, feeling it, and supporting it. And so it is. And now Reverend Catherine is going to come forth and share with us.
This is the time in our service where we honor our mission statement, which is always to honor your presence, to nurture your spirit, and to enrich the lives of all we serve. And we receive messages sharing, our members sharing how we are doing that. This one reads, I want to say a deep thank you for your message on Remembrance Sunday. I had no idea how moving seeing my family's photos as part of the service would be. It was so comforting knowing that so many of us were taking time to remember our dear ones. Thank you for thinking of honoring us and them.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Catherine. And that's a very special Sunday for us all, so thank you for sharing that with us. And it gives you the sense that we're all one, we're all together, and that the life of the next life is all around us. It's not gone from us, it's all around us, and we're still in touch. And so I would invite you all to send in something that you're grateful for, because we always have a Thanksgiving tree in the foyer upon which we have little things there for people to write what they're grateful for, and they hang them up. But we would like to continue with that practice. But just send in a sentence, and we'll have that same little Thanksgiving tree here on our Wednesday night service, and you'll see your gratitude there on the tree. And we would just love to hear from you that good news, because it's good to get good news, really, in times when there's not much good news. And so please do that, and we'd be grateful, and we'd love to have your energy in the form of your little piece of gratitude on the tree on Wednesday night. And join us Wednesday night. It's just an hour out of your time to pause for a quiet moment, to relax for a minute or two, and just to feel all the good in your life that you're grateful for. And there's much when we think about it. Join us so that we can do that together, and then know for the world greater good. Know for the world greater good. And I thank you again for everything you're doing. And now it's our time to celebrate our own daily bread's goodness and the leftovers that we have from our daily bread, from which we can share. And when you trust in divine providence, there's always bread left over to share. So we're going to take our wonderful offering between our blessing hands, and we're going to say with all our hearts, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. So to all of you, dear hearts, and to all of our members who haven't been able to join us at this time, know you are loved, you are cherished, and we hold you in our hearts closely and prayerfully. And stay in touch and let us know how you're doing. And if you would like a special prayerful remembrance, do let us know. The power of prayer is awesome, and we have a wonderful, wonderful, powerful ministry of prayer here. And so again, thank you for joining us. Please join again and get your friends perhaps to do so. And maybe it'd be a lovely gift to give a friend on Wednesday night to join us from 6:30 to 7:30 in gratitude and in lovely energy. And so until we connect again, I'm going to have our parting greeting the way my young, wonderful grandniece and nephew always part. And as you know by now what that is. Mwah, mwah. Next time.